This is KC4. The cost of going out to a bowling alley is represented by this equation, where X is the number of games bowled that night. What could the 350 represent? Okay, so let's think about it. 350 is located right by the letter X, and X represents the number of games. So what can that tell us about our cost? Well, 350 next to the number of games tells us the cost of each game that we bowl. Right, I am going to zoom in. Okay. Laura rents a boat. The pricing is listed in the given table. The function for the given table is as follows. What could the 10 represent? Right, so the first thing I notice about this 10 is that it has no variables next to it. That means that 10 doesn't change. Now also notice the X in the table represents hours renting. So 10 is definitely not the hours because it doesn't change. You don't have a fixed amount of hours. Okay? Fixed means it doesn't change. So if 3.5 is multiplied by the hours you're renting, 10 has to be that cost you had to put down in the first place to rent that canoe. It's called various things. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as a fixed cost, like I previously stated, or you can also refer to it as a deposit, which means you come to a boat renting place, you give them 10 bucks, they give you a canoe, and then you pay extra on top of that, depending on the hours that you've rented that canoe. Julie set her watch 5 seconds behind, and it falls behind another 3 seconds every day. Which of the following choices has variables and equation that best model the situation? Okay, so let's see what we have here. I see a couple of things. I see that Julie's watch falls 5 seconds behind. I also see the word and. It falls behind another 3 seconds every day. Every is a special word too. Okay, so first of all, and is addition. Every would be a multiplication word. So we have to have a 5 with addition, a 5 with addition, and multiplication between 3 and whatever every day means. Okay, so 3 every day. Let's do 3 in blue. 3 every day. Okay. So what are we looking at when we look at 5 seconds that Julie's watch is set behind and another 3 seconds depending on how many days she's have passed, right? So we're calculating here the total number of seconds that Julie's watch has fell behind. So total is the result of addition. So y, because it's right here, the result of adding, should be the seconds. So in this case, letter A works for us. X every day, right? You see that right here. Every day. X is the days. And Y is the seconds behind because that's our total. You go into a movie with $15 to buy popcorn and soda. Popcorn is $2.75 a bag, and a 16-ounce bottle of soda is $1.50. Write an inequality to represent the situation. Let X represent the number of popcorn, and Y represent the soda. Okay, let's match a bunch of these things up. All right, so $15 is how much I have total. Like, I can't spend more than $15. That tells us something about our inequality symbol. That means 15 should be the largest. It should be on the bigger end. So that leaves us B and C. Okay, next we have that popcorn is 2.75 cents $2.75 a bag. X represents popcorn. So we should see an X next to 275. Okay, that's letter C. We're done. We don't have to even look at the soda, although it is correct in this case. How are the variables related on the graph on the right? Okay, well, before even looking at the options, I'm just going to take a look at this graph. First, I have the x's, which is time. Time is going from 0 to 10, right? So time is increasing. I'm going to write IN. Okay, so what's happening with the height? Height starts at 600, and it looks like it's going downwards, decreasing. Okay, time increasing, height decreasing. Let's see. As time passes, the height stays constant. No. As time passes, the height increases. Absolutely not. As time passes, oh no. Oh no. As time passes, the height decreases. That'll be letter C. And I guess that's fine that it's zoomed out because we are done with number 34. There definitely is a relationship between the variables. Letter D should not even be an option in your brains. Let's move on. I'm going to zoom in on purpose this time. Oops. Okay. This graph shows your distance from the practice field as you go home. Whoops. After practice. You receive a ride from a friend back to his house. After arriving, you sit down to eat dinner. Then you walked home from there. Which point represents the time you eat dinner at your friend's house? So let's trace this story. First, you received a ride from a friend back to his house. Then you arrived. And then we sit down to eat dinner. So, our answer is letter C. Letter D, as you can see on the graph, that's you walking home. 36, what is the equation of the line shown in the graph below? Right, when I do this, the first thing I look at is the y-intercept. The y-intercept happens to be positive 4, and that's where your line crosses the y-axis. So that leaves me with only option A and B. So the difference between A and B is that the -1 and the +1, so the slopes are different. So I'm taking a look at my line. Is it going downhill or is it going uphill? Well, the best way to do it is you quite literally put your finger on the line and trace it. It looks like I'm going downhill. Letter A is our answer. Identify the linear inequality that represents the graph below. Okay, one thing I notice is that it's a line going up and down. When there's a line that's vertical, it's an X line. So A and B go bye-bye. Next, I notice that this line is dotted. When I have a dotted line, that means my inequality symbol does not have an or equal to sign. So our answer is letter C. A trick that I use, see that solid line underneath letter D? If you see a solid line on your graph, it's going to be an inequality with a solid line underneath, an or equal to. Okay, identify the linear inequality that represents the graph below. Oh wait, the first thing that I'm going to do is the y-intercepts, just like I did for the equation. So 0, 2, so that's +2, 2. Perfect, we're down to 2 options. I notice I have a dotted line, however, C and D both have the appropriate symbols. So let's see if it's going to be greater than or less than. The way we do this is on top of the graph, I write a y greater than. On the bottom, I write a y less than. Then I check, well, which part is shaded? In this case, y less than is shaded. Therefore, letter D is my answer. And that's it for KC4. If you have any questions, you know what to do.